What's going on, motivators? We got another video. We got to talk about Congressman ERIC SWAWELL resigning from Congress. We know that he left the governorship race yesterday for California, but today he's done with Congress. Let's get into this.
We have breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news because the 5 gets results, maybe. ERIC SWAWELL is resigning from Congress. He said this in a statement. I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegation made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong, but it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress. I will work with my staff in the coming days to ensure they are able, in my absence, to serve the needs of the good people of the 14th Congressional District. So Max Gordon, he's out in California. He's got the late.
Yeah, but he's saying all of that. He wasn't saying that when he was talking about Brett Kavanaugh. He was like, yeah, allegations out. Like, yeah, let's get it over, Brett.
I think this points right back to, because we've got so much going on, so much happening right before this hearing, Congressman, why again didn't a Democrat, Senator Dianne Feinstein, bring this up when she was first approached by this woman, even if it were anonymously at this point without us knowing that person's name?
Good afternoon, Harris. I think this has to be about the victims and their accounts, and to go after senators or their lawyers really, I think, misses that people here are alleging that they were sexually assaulted or victimized, and I don't want to diminish what they're alleging, and I just believe that if these allegations are true, this person is disqualified from being a Supreme Court justice. If they're not true, he deserves a full investigation so he can take the bench without any question marks or asterisks around his service. And so why not just slow it down, investigate?
What you're trying to do and twist my question into.
Same thing right here. Go ahead. Allegations about Swalwell could be true, could be false. Now he resigned. Taking the high road. I don't know if he was forced to, but we all know he was the lapdog of the left, saying whatever. They knew this back in 2013. This is insane. And they didn't do anything about it.
Is this week. Let's bring in Jonathan Turley, constitutional law attorney, George Washington University law professor, and Fox News contributor. Professor, always great to spend time with you. So this is new to Congress, but for a lot of people, apparently it's not. Reporter for the East Bay Citizen, Steve Tavares, says the Democratic Party knew about Swalwell for 13 years. He writes, quote, shortly after being elected to Congress in 2013, his behavior towards women was known by all levels of our local government and the Alameda County Democratic Party. And here's what you wrote about Swalwell. For years, the Democratic establishment and the media ignored any rumors surrounding Swalwell because he was their useful monster, someone who was an attack dog I was straining at the leash. Swalwell was always the first to a mob. Indeed, he now hopes that voters will not apply the same standard he applied to figures like Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Wow. So now they don't need him anymore, or he's not useful anymore. They're like, resign right now. Typical Democrats, right? It's a good thing he's resigning, but still, typical Democrats.
In 2025, he was outvoted by a colleague who died halfway through the year. So his real appeal was that he
against California Democrat ERIC SWAWELL, allegations that have already derailed Swalwell's run for governor. He denies them, but a push to expel him from Congress is already underway, with a resolution expected to hit the House floor tomorrow that could force action as early as this week. Let's bring in Jonathan Turley, constitutional law attorney, George Washington University law professor, and Fox News contributor. Professor, always great to spend time with you. So this is new to Congress, but for a lot of people, apparently it's not. Reporter for the East Bay Citizen, Steve Tavares, says the Democratic Party knew about Swalwell for 13 years. He writes, quote, shortly after being elected to Congress in 2013, his behavior towards women was known by all levels of our local government and the Alameda County Democratic Party. And here's what you wrote about Swalwell. For years, the Democratic establishment and the media ignored any rumors surrounding Swalwell because he was their useful monster, someone who was an attack dog I was straining at the leash. Swalwell was always the first to a mob. Indeed, he now hopes that voters will not apply the same standard he applied to figures like Justice Brett Kavanaugh. The hypocrisy.
So they knew about it. They knew, but they chose not to say anything. Typical Democrats. Now they don't need him, or he's applied all pressure has been applied to him, right? With the sexual allegation. They're like, move, go away right now, resign. Obviously, he's resigning today. But Democrats, they've never changed.
See here, Professor, is off the charts.
It is. I mean, look, Swalwell was never viewed as an effective legislator. You know, in 2025, he was outvoted by a colleague who died halfway through the year. So his real appeal was that he fed a rage addiction. He was willing to say things others wouldn't be willing to say, even in an age of rage. When Senator Collins received death threats, it was Swalwell who mocked her publicly. Now, he later was forced to sort of withdraw those comments, but he's never been late to a mob. And that's what brings up this irony. I mean, he is facing multiple women who are accusing him of the most serious types of misconduct. He's now facing an investigation over his nanny. He's facing possible criminal investigation in New York. He's facing what seems to be an expedited House Ethics Committee proceeding. And there's already a motion for his expulsion.
And, you know, the alleged conduct is with young women who worked for him. And if you read through that San Francisco Chronicle article, there are allegations of sexual assault. And then there are allegations that he sent pictures of his nether regions to young women, asking them to say.
Those pictures of his region to women, they got him. They got him. So that's why he's resigning right now. They got him. Because to send those pictures, you may delete it from your end, but the receiving end always got the receipt.
Send nude photos back. And whether it's Swalwell or Anthony Weiner, I don't understand why politicians think young women want to see pictures of their junk.
Well, the other thing is that these are people who believe they have a license to do this. And one of the things I asked in that column is, I wonder where he got that idea. You know, the question is not whether he's a monster. I've been a critic of his for years, but we can debate that. But if he is, the question is, who's the creator? I mean, the fact is that it was Nancy Pelosi that intervened to protect him in the earlier Fang scandal and said, I have no concerns about ERIC SWAWELL. She then prevented efforts to get him off the House Intelligence Committee, even though various people said, look, he's obviously ripe for blackmail. Now you look back at these allegations, and there have been these allegations for years. It reaffirms what was said to Pelosi at that time, that he is.
It all goes back to Nancy Pelosi. She is the kingmaker. It's not Obama, it's Nancy Pelosi. She's in charge of Hakeem Jeffries. She's in charge of Swalwell. She's in charge of Kamala Harris. She's in charge of everything. Whatever Nancy Pelosi says goes. California, her nephew, Gavin Newsom, it's all about Nancy when it's all said and done.
Potential target for the Chinese and other possible blackmail sources.
Speaking of Pelosi, this is what she said in a statement to NBC. She said, quote, the young woman who has made serious allegations against Congressman Swallwell must be respected and heard. This extremely sensitive matter must be appropriately investigated with full transparency and accountability. As I discussed with Congressman Swalwell, it is clear that this is best done outside of a gubernatorial campaign. She was the one who got Biden to drop out. Now she's got Swalwell to drop out. She still wields a tremendous amount of power.
No, as you remember, John, the famous saying from Harry Truman, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. You know, Swalwell couldn't find a willing canine outside of a taxidermy office this week. I mean, he has no friends in this town. Even people that traveled with him and called him friends have.
And I definitely forgot about Biden. President Biden got notified by Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is the kingmaker. She controls everything.
Walked away from him. It's a colossal thing to watch. Keep in mind that this isn't the end of it. We have to see what happens with this criminal investigation. Yeah. His expulsion seems likely at this point, but he also may not have his law degree to fall back on. If these things are proven, he denies them, but if they are proven, he would likely be disbarred as well.
Wow. So we know he's resigned already, but he could get disbarred after the court case have been finalized if they found him to be guilty. Very interesting.
But it is definitely a shock to the political world. He was a leading candidate for California governor just a couple of days ago, but then this bombshell report came out in the San Francisco Chronicle with allegations that he sexually assaulted a woman while he was, or she was one of his staffers. Then CNN came out with a separate report interviewing 3 additional women, saying that there was some sexual impropriety that had gone on.
The only way this happens, they have lost the need for ERIC SWAWELL. For 13 years, they kept it on the wraps. Something must have happened right now that they wanted him to, whether it be drop out of the race in California, he didn't want to, that have made this go public even more than it is. Because even CNN grabbing 3 women and investigating, you never seen that before.
It was really just a weekend of implosion for his campaign, where we had staffers quitting, and then we had the Democratic establishment telling Swalwell that he should drop out of the race for California governor. He then did that on Sunday evening, and then now today we see that he is going to be vacating his congressional seat. We had calls for him to step down from his congressional seat as well. So this is really going to be sending shockwaves throughout the political world, but not necessarily unexpected.
All right, Max Gordon, thank you for that update. And Harold Ford Jr. will kick us off with another round of commentary about this. Harold, I guess this, well, it might put a complete end to his political career. Good decision by him?
Probably the only decision for him. I think 2 things. One, and I'll start where I finished before. This now puts in play this California governor's race and will give it national attention that it probably did not have a few days ago. And 2, I guess the question is, for the other 3 members of Congress that they were talking about, the Congress taking action on, perhaps censoring or even expelling, what happens with those 3 members will be interesting to see over the next few days.
All right, Emily?
I think it's interesting that he used allegation singular when there are multiple allegations against him. And so I wonder if he's just referring to the allegation of rape, which he said
that's how I took it.
Yeah. I'm great news. I'm in a great mood now because of this. The distraction he talked about, he's been a distraction since day one. We know that he has spent way too much time on social media trying to curry favor.
My thing is, everybody in Congress who is serving the people, if you have an allegation about you, they should be able to expose that. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. If you have those kind of allegations, and if it's true, kick them out. We should not have slimy people running the country or in Congress. If they're slimy, kick them out. Have somebody else come in there.
With his followers rather than his constituents. I know for a fact his constituents won't miss him because they felt underrepresented by him the entire time. He was never a representative of the East Bay, and he certainly has been MIA for quite a long time once he got his Washington, D.C. home. So good luck fighting everything, and he's being criminally investigated too. Hopefully this is the last we'll hear about him.
Like I said, something must have happened between the Democrat Party for this to now go viral. They have kept a lid on this since 2013. 2013. And just now in 26, it's blown up. There must have been something that have created this.
And politically and ever, frankly.
All right. And then I guess this could change and maybe help Steve Hilton even more in the California governorship.
We now know that this gonna create an open seat for personnel in Congress. It's going to be in California. The likelihood of a Republican winning that, very tough. We should still try. But definitely he's out of the governor's race, and now he's out of Congress. So it's a good thing, win-win both ways. We did not get him for the Feng case, but we definitely got him for this one. Anyway, let me know what you think. All right, motivators, if you enjoy what you've seen and heard, please like, comment, subscribe, and share a Black veteran's perspective. Stay motivated.